Hey there, I'm a glue stick, so I have one job. I glue kid stuff. So sorry for being jealous of Geico, who does a ton more, like give you 24/7 access to thousands of licensed agents. And Geico has been around for over 75 years and has a 97% customer satisfaction rating. While I've just got mediocre adhesive skills, Geico also has an award-winning mobile app. Uh-oh, arts and crafts time. No eating the glue stick, Miss Lydia.
Geico. Expect great savings and a whole lot more.
Welcome in. Happy Friday, everybody. Glad you are here with us as part of our public service announcement on Golic and Wingo on ESPN Radio and ESPN2. It is a football Friday, getting set for arguably the biggest weekend of the entire NFL year. Glad you're with us, Trey Wingo and Mike Golic. We are presented by Progressive Insurance. All phone guests join us via the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. We have a lot to get into today, Mike. We got the division. Big news in the NBA, what's going on with Cleveland, all kinds of stuff. But first and foremost,
yes,
how was your drive in this morning?
Foggy.
Unbelievable, right?
Yeah, it was something out of like a horror movie.
I felt like I was in an episode of Lost.
Yeah.
I was just trying to find the road.
I was waiting for any evil murderous character in any
werewolf,
horror movie.
Anything.
I was waiting for them to step out into the road as I was driving. That's why I felt, because of that, I was so nervous about that, I drove faster.
Oh, good.
I
Smart.
could see less, and I drove faster just in case, some villain jumped out in the middle of the road, I would hit them.
See, this is why you're an outside-the-box thinker.
Yeah.
Most people would say, hey, it is soupy, it is dangerous, I'm going to take it slow. You're like, no, I'm getting through this danger as fast as possible.
If I'm driving slow, Jason from Friday the 13th, he is able to hop on the hood of my car, okay? If I'm going 60, I can take him out. That's my thought process.
Wonderful.
I don't know about yours.
Well, no,
you know what? I'm here.
Yeah.
I still don't know if that maybe didn't happen out there to somebody else. I'll wait for the news later.
We'll find out. Good. Great.
It was brutal.
Yeah. For those that don't live on the East Coast, we've had the bomb cyclone, the bomb genesis, whatever you want to call it, and we had tons of snow, and then it's warmed up massively with rain over the last few days, and it's just thicker than pea soup out there. So we are trying. We're trying to deal with the difficulties.
Yes, we are.
Of the road, as well as some other things as well. Apparently,
I would guess so. Yeah.
So we are here with you in spirit on ESPN2, but we are here in ESPN Radio.
Radio, you can hear it just fine. TV,
you're seeing a horrible picture of the two of us.
Hang in there. We'll be back. It has something to do with the fog.
I think it's.
I'm telling you.
I think it's Jason from Friday the 13th.
Jason got the machete and he's in with the wires.
Yeah.
Okay, and he's just kind of hacking away right now. You think I'm messing around with that?
No, it was a little frightening. Here's what we got coming up for you today. Sal Paolantonio will join us in just about 30 minutes talking about the Eagles and the very odd set of circumstances where they find themselves in a position where no one has ever been before in the NFL in a long, long time. So we'll get to that. Dan Quinn, the Falcons head coach, will join us, talk about the challenge of going up there in Philadelphia as a road favorite. We'll get into that. Malik Jackson at 7:30 of the Jacksonville Jaguars' amazing defense will join us, talk about what they can do to make sure they win in Pittsburgh for a second time this regular and postseason. 8:05, we'll have Adam Thielen, Vikings wide receiver. What a great story he's been from Mankato State and now actually playing for the team he grew up, loved watching, and really a big
great
part
story.
of this. Oh, my gosh, undrafted and the things he's been able to do. And Field Yates, ESPN NFL Insider, will join us as well. So we are football heavy, and we have lots to get to, but let's start this show, Mike, as we tend to with...
It's time for...
Off the Top.
Whether you like it or not,
it's just beginning.
With Golic and Wingo.
All right, we start off the top in the NBA after losing by 28 points on Monday to the Timberwolves. The Cavs, well, they took it up a notch. They lost by 34 to the Raptors Thursday. It's the first time, Mike, in the LeBron James' career that his teams have lost back-to-back games by at least 25.
Yep. They're the only team in the NBA this season to allow 129 points per 100 possessions in consecutive games. It's not good right now. We're going to get into this a little bit more. It started out the season bad, then they went on that 19-2 run where they were playing better. Now it's somewhat bad again. Still trying to get Isaiah Thomas into the flow. He started out 0 of 11, ended up 2 of 15.
So he finished strong.
Yeah,
he finished 2 of 4.
Be a glass half full right here. That's what you have to do. But, as I mentioned, last year around this time, didn't we get a whole lot of LeBron saying we need another playmaker and things weren't going well? And so we'll get into more of that. But right now, it's ugly. And the ugly part is is the defensive side. And
Yeah,
it gets into question, is it an X's and O's thing or is it an effort thing? And man, if it's a lot of it's going to be an effort thing, and a lot of it's going to be a lot of people have to be pretty self-aware when they're looking in the mirror what's going on.
Well, there are some very interesting comments from head coach Teron Lewin. We'll get into that a little bit later, but you're right. This sort of reminds us of how the Cavs started the season.
Right.
And now that we're starting the second half of the season, it feels like they're just doing that all over again.
Exactly right. Yep.
And we'll get into that a little bit later here on Off the Top, but we continue.
Off the top.
As we go across the pond, over in London, the Celtics overcame a 22-point first-half deficit to top the 76ers 114-103. Boston now has multiple 20-point comebacks in the same season for the first time since 96-97.
Yeah, for the 76ers, it's their third loss this season when leading by at least 20. We were just having the talk yesterday at the midway point of the season of the expectations for Philadelphia, with Embiid and Simmons and what they're doing, and getting Markelle Fultz hopefully back pretty soon here, but they were just on the outside of the playoffs looking in. And so it doesn't seem they're meeting the expectations a lot of us had for them to be a little bit better, but they certainly have time. In Boston, exceeding their expectations after Gordon Hayward going down in the first game of the season. They're still like, okay, we can still get it done with the young group that they have. And man, we keep talking about Philadelphia in the future and where they're going to be in the next few years. Obviously, the same can be said for the Boston Celtics, but they're still saying, hey, why not this year? Why not now?
Hey, why not this year, the way they're playing? And to your point about the Cavs, because of the defense that Boston is playing.
Incredible.
I mean, that's the thing that stood out to me, the most impressive thing about watching Boston play. Yeah, they're going to get their points, but when they need to clamp down on somebody,
they do.
My God, they find a way to do it.
Sure do.
All right, we continue.
Off the top.
Fresh off their loss against the Clippers, the Warriors begin a 5-game road trip this evening in Milwaukee, 8 Eastern on ESPN. This game features one of the best individual matchups in the NBA, Kevin Durant against Giannis Antetokounmpo going head-to-head.
So Durant, Antetokounmpo, they've had the last 3 meetings. Durant averaged 30 points, Antetokounmpo 27. Durant's team has won all 3 of those games. Antetokounmpo is on track to become the second player ever to average 25 points a game and have a 30 per ranking at age 23, joining the Hall of Famer Tracy McGrady. How about Antetokounmpo? I like this one. He's averaged 17 points a game in the paint. The only player in the last 20 years to finish a season with a mark that high, Shaq.
Wow.
I mean, that's pretty. And this dude is such an athlete out there and what he's able to do.
Yeah, crazy. By the way, who will be in the zone tonight as the Warriors take on the Bucks at 8 on ESPN? Will it be Kevin Durant, Draymond Green, Giannis, or Eric Bledsoe? So check it out. In the Zone, brought to you by AutoZone. Get in the zone, AutoZone. And, Mike, let's finish up off the top with one of your favorite stories.
Off the top.
Women's basketball, number 3 Louisville just absolutely destroyed Notre Dame 100-67 to earn its first home win in program history over an AP top 5 team. And more importantly, end that 11-game career losing streak they had against the Fighting Irish. You all right?
Yeah, I am. I'm sorry about that. I talked a little bit of smack about
you
Notre
were
Dame.
Smackwater Jack before that game.
I was. Congrats to Louisville for that. It was Misha Hines-Allen and Asia Durr combined for 67 points. That's what Notre Dame scored in this game. By the way, there were 4 unbeatens going into the game last night, and one of them got knocked off. That was Tennessee. They lost to number 17 Texas A&M in overtime, so down to 3 unbeaten. So congrats to Louisville for that one.
And that's all. You're like Forrest Gump, and that's all I have to say.
That's all I have to say about that. And for those, I gave the stat about Antetokounmpo's player efficiency rating. I went per like WAR, so whatever.
Wins above replacement.
Yeah. We call player efficiency rating. How efficient? Whatever.
We call that the unicorn stat.
I figure all the millennials know what all that is today, right?
Just say DVOA when talking about football.
Oh my God, that one.
It's just DVOA.
It's incredible.
It's DVOA, but.
Well, nobody says WAR for war.
Exactly.
You say war.
So DeVoa?
So, I don't know.
DeVoa there.
What is it? Are we supposed to say the letters or kind of say out what the words might be?
4 hours. In one segment, we'll say the words. Another one, we'll say the letters.
All
right, that was off the top. But let's go back to what we started here. And that, of course, is the issue with the Cleveland Cavaliers. They are 3-7 in their last 10 games, 2-6 in their last 8. And again, they've given up 127 points or more in the last couple of games. It's been blowout city. What do you think the biggest problem is?
Well, it's defense for sure, no doubt about it. But before we and we're going to play sound and what's the issue now and that whole deal. Let's look at their first 12 games they were 5-7, last in defensive efficiency.
Right.
The next 21 games, they were 19-2, and they were about halfway. Their defensive efficiency went to 16, so about halfway, right? Last 8 games, 2-6, expect to last again. Let's just go back 1 year, shall we?
Yep.
Okay, this 2-6 was from Christmas Day on, 8 games. So last year, from Christmas, 8 games, they were 6-2. So they flipped it. They were better last year than this year. But the 8 games after that, they were 2-6. So this is right around the time, and so we heard LeBron talking about we need another player. You know, we thought, oh, what's the relationship with he and the GM? He's complaining about another player. They were in the doldrums. Oh, my God, they're not playing well. This is an annual thing with the LeBron team when you're fitting the pieces together. Is it more this year? We'll find out. We won't know. You can't get a read on this team until the playoffs, because when they put it together well enough to make it to the finals. So I don't know what to think, because their defense stunk last year. It was horrible last year. Yeah. And where did they end up? They ended up in the finals. They ended up losing. I get that. But they ended up in the finals. Well, No, go ahead. Yeah. I mean, I see this as the same problems they've had last year, and they overcame them. So when do you worry? Now, I'm not there. I'm not in the huddles. I'm not, and we're going to play the sound, and there are different guys on this team than last year. So what effect does that have? You know, Isaiah Thomas, will he get going, you know, offensively? You got to believe he will. You know, again, shooting horribly last night and not shooting very well since he's come back, but you got to give that time. But this is same song and dance, right? We say this every year. They go through some of this, and then they're right where they want to be at the end of the year.
Well, it's interesting too, because this feels like it's the second time this season they've gone through this. Remember, they came out strong and had the season opening win against the Celtics in Cleveland, where Hayward suffered that horrible injury. By the way, we were talking about Hayward yesterday. His reaction to the injury might be the most impressive thing I've seen all year in the NBA. He just looked at his ankle and said, well, that's probably not supposed to happen.
Yeah.
I mean, he was just like, well,
whatever.
Really
was, yeah.
I mean, he didn't even like, ow.
He just kind of sat there.
He's like, boy, that sucks.
Yeah, foot's not the right way.
That should probably be turned the other way.
Yeah.
He just ate it. I mean, he did. That was the most impressive thing I've seen in the NBA all season long. But getting back to the point, as I got sidetracked by an ankle going the wrong way one more time, you know, this was the problem at the beginning of the year. There was a new cast of characters. They weren't playing defense, and they figured that out. Well, what happened when Isaiah Thomas got back healthy is another character they had to fit in, and they're trying to figure that out. But the bigger concern going forward might be, what was the issue last year in the playoffs when the Celtics took on the Cavaliers? Remember, the Celtics were the number 1 seed last year in the East. Right. Kyrie Irving ate up Isaiah Thomas defensively.
Yeah, he did.
So if the issues with the Cavs once again seem to be really on the defensive side, with Isaiah Thomas in there,
that didn't help.
Is it going to help it, or is it going to hurt?
No, it's not going to help it. He's not. You're not counting on Isaiah Thomas for defense.
Yeah,
there's no doubt. Their defense is bad. It was bad last year, and they play well enough in the playoffs to make it to the finals and lose. Obviously, they'll like to win it here, or win it in the finals. But and it's a bad defense again. Now, what may add to it is the offense is starting to dip a little bit.
Right.
They ranked 21st in offensive efficiency after Christmas, where they ranked 3rd prior to that. So, listen, if you're going to be bad on defense, it means you got to be pretty good on offense if you're going to make it to the finals, and you have LeBron James, and that helps. But now, if your offense isn't very good, and you shoot bad, and, oh, by the way, you make up for it by playing horrific defense, that's not a real good formula.
So let me write this down.
Yeah.
To recap. Bad shooting, bad defense, not good.
Not good.
Maybe that's what Tyronn Lue was talking about. Here's what he had to say after another blowout loss.
We got to be better. We know that, but until we play better defensively, I think offensively, sharing the basketball, I think everyone on the same page. And if guys have agendas, we got to get rid of our agendas and play the right way. I don't know.
The most interesting thing there was he said, we've got agendas we've got to get rid of. So that makes you wonder, what agendas do you think we're talking about with the Cleveland Cavaliers?
I have no idea. I mean, he was asked, what do you mean by agendas? And he said, he didn't elaborate. Let's just put it that way. He kind of just left that one out there. So you wonder if it's just kind of the players know what he's talking about, because they didn't sound like it. We'll play some of the sound about that. Was this a message to the players? Coaches love to deliver messages to players through the media at times, but I have no idea. We all know what an agenda is, so his inference there was that, people have different agendas than the agenda of doing everything you can to win a championship.
Well, it got away from them really in the second quarter. It was only a 6-point lead by Toronto after the first, and then Toronto outscored them 35-16 in the second. And we talked about this a little bit yesterday. Shooters shoot, right? That's what they want to do, and they believe that the only way to get out of a slump is to keep shooting.
Absolutely.
And if I have a hot hand, keep shooting. And you wonder if some of that agenda was, let's try and feed Isaiah Thomas and get him going. As you said, 0 for 11, finished 2 of 15. J.R. Smith, I think, hasn't made a bucket in the last 2 games, right? I don't think he's
been bad.
I don't think he's made a bucket in the last 2 games. When they won that championship, J.R. Smith was an integral part of that rotation and making key shots. And if you look at the last couple of games, he only took 5 shots. And he was 0 of 2 from deep, didn't make a free throw, so he hasn't been effective. So is the agenda trying to force feed the new player here at the expense of guys that have helped before? Because they just seem completely out of sorts.
Well, they do. And the bottom line is you have to integrate Isaiah Thomas into this. Yeah. Isaiah Thomas, his value to this team is to have the ball other than LeBron and obviously score some points as well. So to do that, you got to take some shots. So he's going to be one of the main shot takers of this team going forward. I don't think there's any doubt about that. We know it's going to be LeBron, it's going to be Kevin Love, and it's going to be Isaiah Thomas. So J.R. Smith, when he gets his opportunities, he's one of those guys that he's got to make them. That's what he's out there for. He knows what he's out there for from his shooting abilities, or the guys that end up coming off the bench, what their role is. Play your role. For Isaiah Thomas, man, it's driving, it's ball handling, and it's scoring. Right. Now, he doesn't do it, in my opinion, as well as Kyrie. I think Kyrie is unbelievable now with the Celtics. But Isaiah is going to take shots. I understand. He's not going to help you much defensively, so he better score, and be able to handle the ball other than LeBron. So I don't know what the agenda is. Is the agenda is people are going for personal things to up their value for either this team or another team? I don't know. And it didn't seem a whole lot of players knew either.
Well, it didn't seem like a whole lot of players knew anything in terms of how they performed last night. What makes it even worse if you're the Cavs or a Cavs fan, Serge Ibaka didn't play. Kyle Lowry didn't play. Yeah. And they still blew you out by 34. I mean, those are 2 people that are going to be critical for Toronto going forward in whatever they're going to achieve in the playoffs as well as the rest of the regular season. They weren't even there, and it was still a layup drill for most of the night. Now, the Cavs play in Indiana tonight, and then, of course, they welcome the Warriors to town on Monday. We'll find out whether or not over the weekend whether Steph is going to be able to go. I think they're supposed to play tonight, but he's got that ankle injury, which has bothered him again. But the frustration, Mike, is really getting to James. You saw at one point during the game, he basically took over the huddle and started coaching the team. Right. And then after the game, he was captured by the TNT cameras in a yelling match with Cavs player development coach Phil Handy. The video was then posted to an Instagram account called @BallGod, where among all people, Kyrie Irving liked that Instagram post. He's enjoying this. Yeah. And let's just say the Cavs are in a rut, and LeBron says so.
We're just in a funk. We're in a funk. Once again, we're back to the beginning of the season. We just got to find a way to get out of it, and it's going to just start with us and everybody just getting back to what we're doing when we're playing good ball. But it's so fragile, and I don't know where, kind of went wrong or what happened. It kind of the switch went back, but we got to try to pick it back up and find it.
When I hear him say that word, fragile, it's like an NFL player using the word soft.
Yeah, it is.
Right? Doesn't that sound like to you?
Yeah, it definitely is. And again, I'll say, let's go back a year and go back to the old interviews we have with LeBron James, and it was something else. It was the player. We need playmaker. We need something else. I mean, they were going through the same thing just maybe a week later than they are right now last year. So let's see if they overcame it last year to make it to the finals, and let's see if they can overcome it this year. I don't know. I mean, the key for them, again, how much better is their defense going to get? We saw in the 19-2 run they had, middle of this first part of the season, they went up to 16. So they were still halfway as far as defensive efficiency in the league. They're not going to be in the upper part of it. So obviously it's a combination of things. They don't have great defensive players, number one. And then there's the effort part of it. I mean, there is so much to sports. You can draw up any X's and O's you want. You can draw up any strategy you want. But then that player, man, they got to have the will to want to. It's got to be there.
Right.
You have to, even if you understand what your deficiencies can be, the want to can help make up for it somewhat. Not to look this pathetic, quite honestly, and this embarrassing. So there, as I said, there's got to be a whole lot of looking inside of, okay, am I doing my thing? I know I'm not known defensively, but I'm on the court. I got to play some defense, and I need to do it better. You know what you see coming up here, another team meeting, if they already haven't had one, to air anything out there about now agendas or whatever. We'll see. As I said, we went through this last year with Cleveland. Went through LeBron complaining about not having a playmaker. Now he said they're in a funk and the switches flip back, and we'll see where it all ends up. It's usually as we know, it ends up with them in the finals.
Yeah. Seven straight years. Is
this the year it doesn't? Do you finally say, okay, it's caught up with them? You can't say the age of LeBron. He's having an unbelievable year.
Right.
Is it the mesh of all the new players again, and the mesh of those players not being the fact that they're still horrible on defense, and now they're not going to get enough out of the offensive side?
And, by the way, we haven't even gotten to the drama where LeBron has certainly openly talked about when he might retire.
Yeah.
And he's saying he's not there
Which
yet.
Is nowhere, and not anytime soon.
Right, but once you start bringing that up into the conversation,
well, I don't know if he's bringing it up or people are bringing it up to him.
About him,
if he's asking about, if they're asking you about it, and then you're going to, and he said he's doesn't feel he's anywhere near that.
And to be fair, we sort of understand, he's talking about his kids and being able to watch his kids games, all that kind of stuff as they're getting older. We both understood that and have been through that. But again, I'm not willing to count them out of another NBA Finals championship on January 12th. Maybe on April 12th.
Yeah.
We'll look at it that way.
Not now. I'm with you.
Because that's when the playoffs begin for them. But, of course, the playoffs are in full swing right now in the NFL. Coming up, something happening in the divisional playoffs this weekend that has never, ever happened before. We'll ask Sal Paolantonio about that. ESPN's NFL reporter Sal Paolantonio joins us. All right, Sal, we've heard all along how some of the Eagles are, let's say, disgruntled about how they're being viewed in this game. Lane Johnson, the right tackle, said people are acting like we're the Browns. But just put it in context, since the NFL started awarding home playoff games by best record in 1975, this Eagles team is the first team ever to enter their first playoff game as an underdog, thanks in a large part to the injury to Carson Wentz. How has the team responded to that?
I'll give you one example. Yesterday, when they were coming out to the field, the Lincoln Financial Field to practice, Vinnie Curry was leading some of the defensive linemen, and they were just barking at all the reporters, giving the old underdog bark as they came out. So they're using every possible motivation, Trey, at this point. This team is trying to find a way to bridge a very, very large gap. When they line up to play against the Falcons, it'll be 18 full days between meaningful football games for them. Christmas night and the divisional round of the playoffs. So they've tried every motivational trick. One of them yesterday was, Doug Peterson saying, we're going to go practice out at Lincoln Financial Field. He lined up the buses. They all got in buses at NovaCare, and they took like a 3-block drive over to Lincoln Financial Field just for a change of venue. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it feels like they need to shake something up.
You wonder, shake something up, or some will say, Sal, are they doing too much? Are they overthinking this?
I don't think so, Michael. I don't. I think they really are trying to find any motivational trick at this point.
As far as the game on the field, now the weather looks like it's going to be nice. I think mid-40s, so it's not going to be that snow, that cold snap that we've had here. So it'll be nice out. And the one issue we know, Sal, is Nick Foles doesn't move like Carson Wentz, and that undersized defense, they play on speed and they get a pretty good rush on the passer. So talk about that concern from Philadelphia's side.
Big concern. Atlanta's only given up 16.9 points per game in the last 7 weeks. So their defense, you could argue, is playing as good as any in the playoffs right now. I've never seen a game where it comes down to one player playing well in one quarter. Nick Foles has to play fast. Excuse me. A little froggy this morning. Has to play fast in the first quarter of the game. No doubt about it. And he has to come out firing. And if he doesn't, then they get behind. That'll take the crowd out of it. It'll be bad.
Well, with that in mind, Sal, what are the odds of that happening? Because we saw, he played great in the Giants game. His numbers were very Carson Wentz-esque. 4 touchdowns, no interceptions. about 200 yards, and they converted on 46% of their third downs in that game. And then lo and behold, the last 2 weeks, conversion on third down has been the problem. How does he do, and how does the Eagles offense do exactly what you say they need to do in the first quarter?
Well, I think they got to play hurry-up offense in the first quarter. No huddle. I think that's what they got to do. They play no huddle, hurry-up offense, get the ball out of his hands quickly. I think they'll have success.
Sal, we've seen the running game do well. We've seen that O-line play well. We've seen the defense play well. As of late, they haven't played as well. In your mind, being there all the time as you are, what part of their team right now would you have the most confidence in?
Yikes. Wow. I would say offensive line. They got a number of Pro Bowlers. Jason Kelsey, I think, is one of the best centers in the league. Lane Johnson is going to the Pro Bowl for good reason. The right side of their offensive line is what I would say is the top element of their team. And I think they got to run to the right side, and they got to use a multiple of Ajayi, Corey Clement. They got to use a lot of LeGarrette Blount, and they've got to dictate to the Falcons that they're going to come out and they're just going to pound the football. And I really do believe that they got to run a hurry-up offense right from the get-go. Not Chip Kelly style, machine gun, but line up and snap the football.
Well, it's interesting as Sal Paolantonio is with us. If they do that, I think what Atlanta wants to do is almost the exact opposite. They want to try and, for all the talk about Matt Ryan and Julio Jones and Mohamed Sanu, this Falcons team has gotten into the playoffs based on defense and their running game. And the one thing that the Eagles have done really well, Sal, all year long, they have yet to give up a rushing TD at home all year. And now comes in Devontae Freeman and Tevin Coleman, which has really been the sort of the thing that's gotten this offense over the hump down the stretch for the Atlanta Falcons. How confident can the Eagles be against that running game with the defense that I just said hasn't given up a rushing touchdown all season?
Yeah, I think they can be pretty confident. It's really a simple game defensively for them. Stop the run and hammer Matt Ryan right from the beginning. The Eagles are not a blitzing team, but they're a good pass rushing team. And I think in this particular case, they need to show Matt Ryan right away that they're going to come after him. Multiple fronts. Jim Schwartz does a good job of showing the illusion of 5 rushers, but not bringing 5 and creating mismatches. The problem is that most of the time, and I don't want to get too XO on you, but if you watch the matchup show, Greg Cosell and Lou Riddick do a great job this week of really breaking it down. Where the Eagles have done the illusion of 5 and not sending 5 and making hay is over the center with Fletcher Cox. You're not going to do that against Alex Mack. You're just not. He's too good. So I'm interested to see what Schwartz has come up with against this Falcons offensive line, because they need to make Matt Ryan feel uncomfortable from the beginning. Stop the run, make Matt Ryan feel uncomfortable, and I think that those 2 areas, run the ball to the right offensively, and then get after Matt Ryan defensively. If they do that, they will be okay. Not great, but okay. But you got to remember one thing, and I think I had several private conversations with Doug Peterson and talked about him on your show on NFL Live this week. And one of the things he said, 1, absolutely must start fast, play fast, first quarter. 2, don't gift 3 quarters of the field to Matt Ryan like the Rams did. Listen, how did they win in L.A.? Well, they got 2 turnovers on special teams in the first quarter and gave them 3 quarters of the field twice. Can't do that.
All right, Sal, the last assignment we want you to do this morning, we want you to get to the Wawa and get your coffee and paper. All right, man.
Yeah, you know what? I'm going to, instead of going coffee, I might go green tea and honey this morning.
There you go. Sounds like you may need that. So you go do that. You got a big weekend. You go get your stuff, man. Thanks.
Sal, we need you on that wall, brother. Thanks you so much.
All right, you got it, guys.
We roll on Golic and Wingo on ESPN Radio and ESPN2. Glad you're with us. And, of course, we're all about the divisional playoffs this weekend. 2 games Saturday, 2 games Sunday. the best 2 days, the best weekend of the NFL's regular and postseason combined. And, of course, the games on Sunday will include the Vikings and the Saints, but it starts with the Steelers hosting the Jacksonville Jaguars, a rematch of what took place Week 9 when the Jags went in there and won 30-9. But there's been a lot of talk, Mike, out of Pittsburgh, not only about that matchup and hoping to play the Patriots again, but then our Jeremy Fowler came up and really got the straight talk from Straight Talk Wireless from Le'Veon Bell, nationwide coverage on America's largest and most dependable 4G LTE networks. Basically, Le'Veon Bell was asked by our Jeremy Fowler, listen, you've had some contract issues the last couple of years. You wanted a long-term deal. And he basically came out and said, I have really certain parameters.
Yeah, he does. He said, listen, he's playing on he turned down a nice deal, would have been a very big deal, and they tagged him. He made $12 million this year on the franchise tag. But he basically, it's interesting. He goes a couple of ways saying if they tag me again, I have to decide then if I want to play, and if I sit, I may sit for the entire season, and if I sit for the entire season, I may not play football anymore. I may be done. He said he's trying to get the most he can, not really for himself, but more for the others coming up behind him, the Todd Gurleys, the Zeke Elliott's, the Melvin Gordons. He's trying to set a new standard, which he really can do. In one of his quotes, I don't necessarily care about the money aspect of it. I just want to be valued where I'm at. If I am playing this game, I want to set standards for all the other running backs, which he certainly can do. About the money, he said, I've made a lot of money. I'm happy where I'm at. I've got good family. I don't really need to play football. He's made $16 million in his career, 12 of it coming this year. He has set up the best running back deal was Devonta Freeman, 5 years for $41 million.
Yeah.
But the key number there is 22 guaranteed. Okay, that's the number you always look at. Listen, Le'Veon Bell can blow that out of the water. Le'Veon Bell had more touches this year than he had in his career, 406, 321 carries, 85 receptions. Closest to that was 2014, 290 carries, 83 receptions, 33 more touches this year, 27 touches a game. He can absolutely set the standard. I don't think he has any intention. Now, I don't know him. We talk about he has outside interests. I get that. I find it hard to believe he's ready to walk away from the game when he can cash in the way he can cash in. But again, everybody is different. I don't know. I would think he still wants to play, and I would think he's going to set a ridiculous record. You talk 5 for 41, 22 guaranteed. If Le'Veon Bell does a 5-year deal, the 41 is going to be the guaranteed part of it.
Could be close to it.
Should be. It should be for what he does running the ball and catching the ball. And you know that Pittsburgh doesn't really want to go that high because then they are setting the precedent. They're paying him and all the other teams who have the Todd Gurleys of the world, and the Zeke Elliott's, the Cowboys and the Rams are going, this is coming down the pike here on us as well. So I don't think this is a distraction for the team by any stretch of the imagination. For a team that had Le'Veon holding out early, Ben throwing 5 picks, saying maybe he doesn't have it anymore, Antonio Brown kicking Gatorade.
The whole national anthem thing.
The national anthem thing, James Harrison thing. So I don't think this is any distraction to them. And quite honestly, I don't see Le'Veon Bell being done playing ball after 5 years. He is going to cash in big time at some point.
Look, he's 25 years old.
Yeah.
He'll be 26 next month on February 18th. At the end of the day, while he may have made $16 million in his career, I don't think that he's made enough to retire on at the age of 25.
It's a great amount he's made.
And live the life he wants to live. And while that is great that he's done that, and I think he should get paid, and I understand why he's putting his foot in the sand and drawing that line, at the end of the day, right now is when you have to cash in that contract.
Yeah.
Because if you don't get it this time, the 29-year-old or 30-year-old NFL running back contracts are not going to be anything close to what you're seeing right now. No. So this is his time
biggest one
to say, I've got to make as much money as I possibly can. And I'm with you. He's very into music, all that kind of stuff, and he's very successful at it.
Yes,
he's very good.
He is.
There's no way he's walking away from football.
I don't think so either.
With the amount of money he can make.
Yeah, I completely agree.
This is just the beginning of you say this, I'm going to say this, and eventually we'll meet somewhere closer to my number.
So again, they can tag him again. It'll be about $14 million. Then they would have till July 16th to work out a deal, or he'd have to play the season on that $14 million or not play. And that's where they're talking about the rubber meeting the road. I'm with you. I think a guy like him gets paid. A guy like Aaron Donald is going to get paid. These guys that are the best of their position are going to get their money.
Here's the way it plays out. Franchise tag and they work out a deal before July. Coming up next, Falcons head coach Dan Quinn. Stay with us.